well, I've been with Van 13 years ago now. So that's how long ago that big band project, that Michael Bublé type project I did with Tony Hadley. That's how long ago that is now. And I actually got a call. Funny enough, I'd agreed to go on tour to tour the album, to promote it with Tony, with the big band. I fixed all the musicians, everything.
Yeah.
So it was my project. I co-produced the album actually. So it wasn't something that I could walk away from if I wanted to. And it was actually the first day of rehearsals, and I got a call from Van's record label in London, and said, Van's looking for a new MD. Would you be interested in the job? I said, well, yeah, but I did explain that I was committed to something.
Yeah.
But I said, I'll meet you. And I met him in a pub in Hampstead, I think. I was living in Highgate at the time, and we met up and had a chat. And then there was a process of initially meeting Van and having a chat with him down in Bath.
Yeah.
And after that, he brought me over to play with the band and stuff, and it was a process. And but I was committed with this Tony Hadley thing. So nothing happened with Van for the 3 months or so. It was kind of sort of in the can, put to one side on the shelf, I suppose. And he continued with his then MD. And then it came around again. It was kind of, oh well, that's a shame if you can't do it. Maybe next time, sort of thing. And then it came around again, and I went back over a couple more times and what have you. And then eventually, made it onto a gig with him, and it continued from there. Yeah. So that was how it was actually a long process going. But I think he'd heard. I know I was recommended to him, if I remember rightly, by one of the sax players from the Jules Holland band at the time,
right?
Who knew of me, and of course I had at the time I had the first Hammond album that I did, which was predominantly a funk album, but that was getting an awful lot of airplay on Jazz FM and stuff and what have you. So that was out, and it had done well. And so I think Van kind of, he didn't know much about me, but he knew that I specialised in Hammond, which was important for him.
Yeah.
And what have you, and knew I'd been busy with the big band stuff. And Van is, although he's considered an R&B artist, there's a lot of jazz influence.
Sure.
Yeah. And full-on jazz in some cases.
Yeah.
With Van, he did the Joey DeFrancesco album, which is absolutely wonderful.
Yes, I've heard that.
Which obviously didn't include me. The Hammond chair was covered on that.
Yeah, you got bumped.
Sorry,
you got bumped.
I got bumped for that one. No, that was a specific. Project that Van wanted to do with the wonderful Joey, and it's superb. And So Van switches into that mode, and then there's all the other genres that he covers as well.
Yeah.
So. And it gets back to what I said earlier. Jazz seems to creep into just about everything.
Yeah, totally.
It really does.
Yeah. It must be quite an interesting band to MD for then, for you. If you compare it to like a different.
It really is, because you're covering a few spheres.
Yeah.
And it is very, very, very interesting. A lot of hard work sometimes as well.
Yeah.
I don't mind saying, and but it is really, really interesting. Rather than and the way we work, we don't stick to the same set list every night.
Yeah,
you can't time your watch by the patter that the lead singer is going to say, or the fifth number, and it'll definitely be such and such. And it's just like an album playing down, which is a lot of pop concerts are like that. So it definitely keeps you on your toes.
Yeah. Which just sounds, like a lot of people when they do their pop gigs, they have to sort of make a bit of a compromise with what they're into, but it just seems like it must be quite a nice gig to do for yourself, because it's
it is.
You're doing your thing.
Yeah, it is great, and it suits me because I get to play trumpet and flugel as well.
Yeah.
Absolutely love playing trumpet and flugel. It's hard. It's what it's like when you play a couple of instruments. It's hard to decide on your first love. I really, my first love in some ways is the piano. I absolutely adore playing the piano. And it's all about the touch for me. And I had a wonderful piano teacher. I was blessed to go to a phenomenal piano teacher. She was reckoned to be the best in the north at that time. A lady called Mrs. Little. Yeah, and she was she played a very big part in my musical development when I was younger. Yeah, and because she actually used to run clubs for our pupils, and she'd hire a coach and take us to see the Northern Symphony Orchestra at the City Hall in Newcastle.
That's wicked, eh?
She was like,
that's proper, man.
She loved her pupils, Mrs. Little. She was absolutely wonderful, and her husband Lance. Yeah, and their son actually writes a jazz column. He's got a big jazz website.
Is that Lance Little?
Lance Little.
Yeah, I know that
guy. Yeah, check him out.
Yeah, I know him. Yeah,
you do know Lance?
Yeah.
Well, he plays. He used to play sax, Lance. I don't know whether he still does. Yeah. But it was his mum and dad. They were wonderful teachers, and his mum was teaching me. Yeah. And she was just incredible and a brilliant classical pianist. And she was trained at the Royal Academy. Yeah. And she, she was a stickler for technique and scales. And whenever I've done any private teaching myself, I've always tried to impart what she used to say to me, and it was all about, with regards to the piano, about passing the thumb under smoothly and going over things time and time again till you can play super smooth and it wasn't all about speed, it was about accuracy and all of that stuff. And once that's drummed into you, that's kind of that's the blueprint for the rest of your life. And that's where you get a great technique from, and then you build the speed up and you can fly around and everybody goes, oh, what an amazing technique. And it's like, well, it's that simple. Yeah. But you've got to have someone explain it to you, haven't you?
No, it's true. Yeah, you got to have someone show it.
You've got to do the wood shedding. Nobody can do that for you.
Yeah, 100%.
But I was lucky to have, like I say, a great teacher, and that's and she, she wasn't into jazz at all. She was purely a classical. Yeah. She would have been horrified if she heard me messing around. Yeah, playing